I think a lot of people, when they think homeless, they think, the guy with the 40 talking to himself on the corner, and not a college student who doesn't know where he's going to sleep that night.
My name is Rey. I'm 25 years old, and my living situation is pretty much just me couch surfing, occasionally sleeping in my car. It kind of gets in the way of my schoolwork sometimes. Considering, if I don't have much money, I haven't ate, I need to find a way to eat, let alone not eating, I have to sleep in my car if I don't have a place to go. It gets cold, but I leave the windows cracked so it doesn't get stuffy in here. And in the morning, if I oversleep, or usually the sun is the thing that wakes me up. So if the sun's glaring in here, the heat kind of builds up in here.
Losing housing, losing the place where you can just be and relax and study is not only physically but really mentally exhausting. It's stressful all the time. Where am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? What am I going to do when class is over? Where am I going to go? I'm
lucky because I got 24-hour Walgreens, 24-hour Starbucks, and a 24-hour Nations. Walgreens is has essentials and stuff if I need it. And then school, we have a 24-hour library, so if I'm over here and I just need to use the restroom or something, I'll drive to the bathroom. I started doing this because this relationship between me and my family isn't the best. Things just got really bad, and so for the first 3 months, I was hotel and motel hopping with my stepbrother and his family. And after that, they left, and I was kind of just left behind. So that's when I was faced with the idea that I don't have, and I won't have, stable living for a while.
I became homeless as a student here at San Francisco State for the same reason that students now become homeless. I would say the vast majority of not just students, but San Francisco residents in general, students especially, are one catastrophe away from homeless, whether that be a broken down car, a loss of a job, or an injury that makes it so you can't work. All of these things become quick paths into homelessness in a system that requires a tremendous amount of wealth to have a roof over your head.
The housing crisis in the Bay Area just gets amplified for students who don't have the ability to earn anything close to a living wage. And so they're not going to be able to afford housing, and if they do, it's going to be inferior, or it's going to be overcrowded, or they're going to have to stay at home and commute long distances. So I think the issues the students face is just an amplified version of what the rest of us are facing in the Bay Area.
The idea that you could get a starter in a funky neighborhood for $150 a month or $200 a month, and you and two friends could scrape together some shit and get a place, those fucking days are gone. To then turn around and say, well, that student is homeless because he or she doesn't really give a shit. Well, why are you going to school if you can't afford a place to live? Why the fuck not?
I don't know what was different about my community college, but I was homeless there, but I was taking full-time classes, or I was taking more than 12 units, and I almost obtained a 4.0. You know what I'm saying? But I think it was just the environment. It really was stressful because at that time I didn't have a car to sleep in. Fortunate though, I was involved on campus for my community college, and I had a office, and we had a couch, so I would sleep on the couch and just stay in my office. I had all my stuff in there, and it was my little apartment.
There used to be a concept that, one really good, strong, valid way out of poverty is education. So why the fuck shouldn't poor people be in school? And why should it have to be a choice between the two? And I have all praise for the state students that I've met and shit, and the ones that I've known that are going to state, people that are strong enough to maintain a good GPA and fucking deal with the housing issues like that, man, more fucking power to them. They should be the leaders of tomorrow if we're gonna have freaking leaders in this movement.
I hear people judge people all the time, even with my professor who works with homeless told me, oh, there's people that doing all these things and, you know, they're in worse situations and still handling all their business. And I feel like that is ignorant too, just because somebody else is doing it and working through it. It doesn't invalidate somebody who's going through something similar and not doing as well.
People tend to think of it as their screw up and not a screw up of the system overall. And, you know, that makes it rough. You don't want to share that information with your friends who you think are doing great. You don't want to tell your parents, hey, you know, I'm glad you guys sacrificed so that I could go to college, but, you know, I've messed up and now I'm living in my car. You know, it's not information that a lot of people are comfortable sharing with people close to them.
It's a common thing, I think. I feel that the only reason why it's not too clear is because I feel that a lot of students, they have this feeling that they might be the only ones and you might find it embarrassing. So when they go out and socialize here on campus, someone asks them where they live, they have a specific thing to say. If I don't feel like you would be easy about it, if I were to tell you, I'll probably tell you that, oh, I live in Oakland and I commute here.
We really have nothing to be ashamed of except that common culture, the dominant culture in this country, has us identified as dangerous drug addicts, urine, feces, somewhere else. They have all these labels for us, but human being doesn't really seem to be one of them.
When you lose your housing, when your house gets sold out from under you, or you can't make rent, or you lose your job, it's not like you change. You know, I look just like me, and you look just like you, and you're still a student.
People ask me why I'm so happy and all that stuff, and why I'm so social, and why I do the things I do and all that stuff. I think it has a lot to do with my luck in meeting people who are beautiful people, who give me a place to take a shower or give me a place to sleep for a night or two. You know what I'm saying? Like, I meet people who support me, who they kind of become a family to me. Sometimes I'm not the only one in here sleeping because we decide to go get something to eat and then we're all tired, and then I park somewhere and everyone just passes out, and so we're all jammed in my car sleeping. I've had friends who've tried to approach SF State about housing and did not have a good experience. I don't think there's anything sufficient enough to convince them to spend money to help us.
I have a political science 200 class that is working on a project to advocate that the university address the extensive problem with students that are experiencing hunger and homelessness. I came across a news article about the trustees' reports from both the UC and the CSU systems. They had found large numbers of students, as we know, who were experiencing homelessness and hunger in both systems. And a light went off and I thought, you know, I'll just have all the students work on the same issue. And so they're working as a class to bring it to the attention of those who have the ability to address the problem.
Proper care for proper education. 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 Proper care for proper education.
The march was to inform the campus community and to bring the attention into the spotlight. We had a few speakers. We had somebody from the Coalition on Homelessness who spoke about some of the ballot propositions that would make the problem of homelessness worse or address the problems. There's a whole range of things. And then we had the president of the campus faculty union, the CFA, and we had somebody from the working group that's addressing this issue at the university who came out and kind of gave us an update on what the university is doing.
The goal of the group is to kind of do an analysis of what's going on campus, what are the issues for students on campus, and then try to figure out how we can solve and address some of those issues from an equity model and also from a systemic model. So making sure that we're not just putting a Band-Aid on something, that we're really kind of going towards the root cause. So what we're doing is we're doing kind of a bunch of things in parallel. We are trying to work on some issues to address some of the hunger that's happening on campus while we're trying to do some research to really figure out what are more of the systemic root causes and what would really be better for students. Right now we have some numbers and data, but what I really want, and I have 2 interns who will help with it, is we want to really get students' stories anonymous, so students wouldn't have to share their name. And it would be an opportunity to either speak with me or speak with one of our students to really see what are the issues that are affecting students. What does hunger look like? What does housing look like?
At what point do you stop gathering information and actually use the information to guide new policies? And I think we're past the time when we need to guide new policy making. We're way behind on where we need to be to address this problem.
To say that they're forming a work group 35 years after homelessness hit San Francisco is wow, where the fuck have you been? Because it's been out there and it's been on the campus. It's been a part of the culture of that campus. Stanford might be able to say, oh, we didn't know we had that shit because we got all these rich kids. That's not San Francisco State. At least be honest about it and say, yeah, we know this has been an issue for a really long time and we haven't done a fucking thing. So maybe now we can get real and start doing something.
Both of the issues are very complicated, but housing can be a little bit more complicated, and it's not as simple as, oh, hey, we have all this leftover food, we can share food, or we can get meal plans and then distribute the meal plans. There's a bit more details.
If the meetings were about an organizing campaign to make changes, then it might be a worthwhile meeting. If the meeting is about, well, this is complicated, it's not. We need to find out. No, you fucking don't. So we need to connect with what's already out there and build an organizing base so that regardless of your immigration status, regardless of your income level, regardless of your history with the criminal justice system, regardless of all those discriminatory barriers that are put in place to keep us separate from each other, how do we work together to ensure that housing is something that's available for all of us? Because we're human beings and housing's pretty fucking cool.
If we're committed to educating these students, we need to also ensure that the student has a place where they can live and that they have proper food so that they can continue to be a student. Otherwise, it's kind of a facade that we pretend to care about the student only as long as they're in class.
Hunger and housing, those are vital human rights, and that affects whether or not you do well in school and succeed and graduate on time. And it affects your mental health and your physical health. There's such important things that need to be addressed, and I would say we are very aware of how important addressing these issues are.
A lot of the students here that are homeless, it's not that they're incapable of anything or they're not smart, or they're too lazy to do something. I think they're just like everybody else.